Remember those days where it was a little bit embarrassing to admit that you had a Nissan Micra? It was a bit too bubbly and a bit too girly. Well, those days are long gone with this, the all-new 5th generation 5-door Supermini. It's available with 3 engines, 2 petrol and 1 diesel, and 5 trim levels, and is absolutely packed full of technology, including intelligent lane intervention, a 360 surround camera, traffic sign recognition and emergency braking. There's also a Bose sound system in the driver's headrest. In here there's a 2-tone finish to the dash, which is available in 3 colours. On the N-Connecta and above there's a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system, whilst all models get air conditioning. So to get comfortable, there's a pump lever to adjust my seat height and a rotary dial for the backrest. This has then got reach and rake, which is very useful, if slightly limited on the height side, but pretty good. In the door there's enough space for a large bottle of water and a few other bits. There's a anti-slip tray ahead of the gear lever where your USB connector is, and start-stop button, 2 cup holders in the middle and a cup holder at the back, but I'd say it's slightly limited. However, the glove box is ginormous. To get into the rear, you've got to find this hidden little door handle. I think you'll be surprised by the simplicity in here and the amount of room available. So I've got plenty of knee and leg room for being in a Supermini, and at 5'9" I've got just enough headroom. Also adjustable headrest to get comfortable, while these seats fold down flat on a 60-40 split. However, they do leave a step to the boot. While the boot is reasonably well sized, it offers about 300 litres of capacity, which is around the same as a Fiesta, but 30 short of a Fabia. It's very simple, so it's a less is more approach. So there's no side compartments, there's no bag hooks. There's a little bit of underfloor storage, but generally it's taking all my stuff very comfortably indeed. The Micra is roughly the same size as a Ford Fiesta in length and height. Width-wise, it's a little bit wider, so it's got a lower, sportier stance, but it's very Fiesta-like in its appearance, which I think is a great thing. Prices for the new Micra kick off at $11,995, raising up to $17,435 for the range topper. And those 5 trim levels are made up of Vizia, Vizia Plus, Ascenta, N-Connecta and top of the range Tecna. As well as the 3 interior trim colours, there's 10 exterior paint colours to choose from. You can also personalise that as well with decals and different colour finishes on the alloys, front bumper, side skirts, bonnet and rear spoiler. So in the end there's 100 different combinations you can have. The engines you can choose from include a 0.9 litre TCE turbocharged petrol. There's a naturally aspirated petrol as well as a 1.5 litre DCI diesel. Now all engines come with a 5-speed manual gearbox as standard, however an automatic will be introduced later in the year. Today we're testing the 0.9 litre petrol in N-Connecta trim, which costs £16,690. However, this car's got just over £1,000 of additions, which include the Vision Plus pack, intelligent key and the Bose headrest. This N-Connecta comes with lane departure warning, high beam assist, intelligent emergency braking, the 7-inch infotainment system with DAB radio and Bluetooth, 16-inch alloy wheels, electric folding door mirrors, leather steering wheel and gear knob, blind spot monitor and LED daytime running lights. So this 0.9 litre develops 89 brake horsepower and 103 pound-feet of torque. That's enough to get it to 0 to 62 in 12.1 seconds. With 15 or 16-inch alloys on, this engine will return 64.2 miles per gallon and emit 99 grams per kilometre of CO2. The gear shift has a light fluid motion, which is a pleasure, and the clutch is a medium weighting, but the combination of the engine and gearbox just doesn't quite work. Somehow it's a little bit jerky at slower speeds or when you're shifting between gears and trying to get a move on. There's a moment sort of snatch and lurch. There's also more noises than I've heard coming from a 0.9 litre engine for a long time. As you accelerate hard, the engine starts to make noise, quite a pleasant little throaty grumble, and then there's a whirring up of the turbo. But strangely, as you then change gear and the engine calms, the turbo keeps going for a moment or two, which is interesting and a little bit disconcerting. Other than that jerky feeling around the gear change moment, the power delivery is pretty consistent, but it takes a long time to get going. So max torque comes in around 2,250 revs, which makes it a smooth transition through the powertrain, with max power around 5,500, and that's where the action really gets going with this engine. From 4,500 upwards, it feels a lot more eager, a lot looser and keener to get on with it. Before then, it's quite hesitant and restrained. The Micra is definitely set up more for comfort than it is for sport. Most of the time you'll be going along thinking, what a comfortable ride this has got. It is a little bit bumpy over smaller undulations, so those tiny imperfections in the road or a band of scarring from roadworks across it. So you'll feel those more than you will the bigger bumps. It certainly doesn't compete on the same level as a Ford Fiesta for driver involvement. That's mainly because of the body roll going into corners due to the softer suspension setup for that comfortable ride, and the steering, it's not firmly weighted enough. It's quite light in feel. Everything in here looks nice. So you've got the soft touch plastics on the top, these nice textured materials, and the leather inserts, which is very Mazda 3. With this huge rate windscreen out the front, you've got a lovely view. The front pillars are a little bit thicker, but don't obscure your view too much. However, the rear pillars really do. That raising window line on the back doors, combined with a thick C-pillar, really do obscure your over-the-shoulder view, particularly when you're trying to change lanes on the motorway. These seats are really comfortable and have these really nice midriff support, so you can imagine driving this for many miles and staying very comfortable and ache-free. The multifunctional steering wheel's got plenty of buttons, some of which deal with the trip computer screen in the instrument binnacle, some of which deal with the stereo controls, and others telephone and cruise control. But again, there's some smaller ones around, so you need to learn it really before getting going. The 5.5-inch TFT screen between the dials gives me my trip computer and upcoming satellite navigation directions. The dash itself is quite clean with a lack of buttons, so they just mainly focus on the automatic air conditioning in this model, but they are quite small, so you're going to take a moment just to focus in on them. The infotainment screen's got a load of shortcut buttons either side. Again, they're quite small, so you have to take a second to focus in on them. The screen itself is clear and easy to read, and seems pretty simple to set the navigation or change radio stations, put on your tunes, what have you. The Bose sound system that comes standard in the top specification model, but is £500 otherwise, is really quite impressive. There's 6 speakers, including the speakers in the headrest, and there's a amplifier underneath the driver's seat. Now what you can do through the touchscreen is move the point of sound around, so you can either have it almost in front of you, as though you can almost grab this sound that's playing individually to the driver, or you can share it throughout the cabin. That's really very, very impressive. Where I do question it a little bit is the quality and strength of the plastics. That's not so bad on the door, but this in between the seats is very, very flexible, and you feel you could lift it out at any second, whilst there's been a rattle coming out of the dash ever since I set off. Well, the Micra's a bit of a revelation. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's got a lovely interior and a nice, soft, comfortable ride. There's lots of technology as well, whilst it's roomy in the back with a decent boot. Okay, it's not as dynamic or as sharp as a Ford Fiesta, but this is well worth considering. Thanks for watching Driver's Seat. If you've enjoyed the video today, do subscribe to the channel for free, and let us know in the comment section below what you think of the all-new Micra.